Hello and welcome to CollectaThoughts, the show where I collect my thoughts on video games. And today we have a bit of a different one with Kid A Mnesia exhibition. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but that's what it looks like to me. And by saying that, you can already tell that I'm not really the biggest radiohead connoisseur. I very much just a casual listener. And so today's review is definitely going to be a lot more about my experience of this than any actual critical thought of the music, especially since if you watch other videos of mine, you know that music isn't really something I go into great detail about in my reviews. Now, what is this exhibition? Is it really a video game? And well, I guess by definition it is a video game. It is interactable. It is a first-person game. But in terms of what we think about as traditional video games, it doesn't really play out like one. It is an exhibition. That being said, there is what is perceived as an ending, and the credits will roll. So it is a game you can finish, by all means. Regardless though, when you play this game, that really shouldn't be your focus though. Even if you put it in the genre of walking simulator, it isn't really meant to be played in the same way. It is very much to be experienced like a museum where you stop and you kind of just look at the art and the music here specifically and absorb it at your own pace. And as that, it is a very unique experience. The visuals are very varied and weird. There's a lot of psychedelic imagery and there's some more shocking one. And by shocking I mean in an abstract sense. Everything here is very abstract. You're not gonna really find realistic or very objective visuals. Often the visuals in fact feel more like a companion to the music, which I guess makes sense on an exhibition about an album by a band. Obviously now your enjoyment of this exhibition is very subjective. It isn't a game that you can assign qualities to its mechanics as much, but there are a couple of things I would like to mention. There's really good spatial audio. Usually when a song plays within a room, it's coming from somewhere, and there is a directional effect, which I think adds a level of realism to, it being an exhibition or being in a room and hearing this music while you look at the art. And to me, it ends up being a small detail that adds quite a lot. Also, talking a bit objectively about the subjectively, we have the graphics of this game on a technical level, which are surprisingly good, but not particularly optimized. The game does struggle to run, even on modern hardware like the 3060 Ti, which I played on. It's not so much that the frame rate is bad, but there's definitely quite a lot being loaded into memory, which can lead to stuttering when moving from room to room. Or at least that's my theory, I don't know for sure. Regardless, it is a trade-off and the lighting effects, shadows, even some of the textures are really high quality. But then we also have quite a lot of textures that have been stretched into oblivion and you can definitely see the pixelation. This is most noticeable with video or moving textures that spread along large surfaces like a wall, ceilings, sometimes both at the same time. It is a very psychedelic game. But regardless, the difference in resolution from those moments is very noticeable, especially when everything else is so high resolution. And my guess is that a lot of this is just old footage and they just didn't really have the high quality files for it. Or there never were high quality files to begin with, because Kid A, the album, came out in the year 2000 and I'm expecting a lot of the material comes from that time as well. So I don't hold it too hard against it and I don't really think it's bad or anything. But it is something that is noticeable to me. Regardless though, the other thing I want to talk about on this more objective side is the QR codes. I didn't really use these while I was playing because I was also recording gameplay and I didn't want to have like a large pause of looking at them. But I did look at them afterwards and it is basically just additional material. Also a map, which is helpful because due to the layout of this exhibition, it is rather easy to get lost. Another really helpful thing about this map is it also tells you what music is playing in each room, which is very helpful. You don't need to open this QR code every room you go into, because I'm pretty sure they all open to the same page. So you kind of just open it at the beginning of the game and then you leave it open, and it will be fairly helpful, I think. That being said, the page also opens on their catalog, which is their basically merch. So, just click off that. Honestly, I made the mistake of thinking at first that this is what the page opened up to and that the QR codes were just ads for their stuff they want to sell. But it's not. You can click off it and then you have the map and all the other informational stuff. Now, as for my subjective experience with this, I quite enjoyed it. It is something that I could just relax and enjoy for a bit. I would just sit in a room and see how it changed and how it played out, and other times I just kind of breezed through a room and I just kind of looked around and moved on. There is that kind of sense of an exhibition. And in that way it really works, especially since there is quite a lot of varied settings, surprisingly. Kid A is not the most conventional album, but I also just enjoyed the music as well. It is very pleasant and it is presented in a very pleasant way. Even though the game can have a bit of a kind of scary or somber look to it at times, especially with the other attendants at the exhibition, these skinny, dark, almost stick figure-like characters with a interesting face, and some other attendants that I will not spoil. But in general, they can be rather creepy. Sometimes they will talk to you if you just stand around long enough. And by talking, I mean they will whisper at you something, and they will usually be an insult. Or just something that creeps you out. Like, I was in this corridor between rooms and I hadn't figured out yet that they talk to you. And I just heard one of them say, "Run." And that was a bit creepy to say the least. Regardless though, I don't want to go into much detail because I do think it would be a spoiler, but I do want to talk about one of the final rooms or the ending of the game. And basically what it is, it's you get locked in a room and you listen to some music, to some visuals, which is the rest of the game as well, but here you're forced to do so, which is fine, but it goes on for quite a while. I think it goes on for over 6 minutes maybe, which doesn't sound like a lot, but the overall game only lasts about an hour too, so it does kind of stand out, especially since it's not even the most unique visuals in the whole game, I didn't think. It's also not particularly bad, it's still, nice music with some visuals. And I guess there is a level of realism because exhibitions and museums have very similar things where they close you in a room for a specific thing they want to show, and you can still move around and everything. And I think one of the gimmicks of this specific room, and probably why they close you in it, is that even breaks gravity a bit, but I'll leave it at that so as to not spoil. Regardless though, it was an enjoyable time. It is about an hour long. It's free, so, I don't really feel like I have anything to complain about in that sense. I wasn't expecting anything and I got quite a bit. And in that sense, it was good. So, I'm not gonna be scoring this one, but I will recommend it if you want to play something that is quite unique, much more focused on being an exhibition like the title says rather than an actual game. Then I think you can find some value here even if you're not a Radiohead fan. I enjoy their music, but I would never call myself a hardcore fan, and I quite enjoy this, so give it a try. You might even get something in Fortnite if that's your reason to play it. I don't know, I haven't played Fortnite since Season 1. Regardless, another recommendation I guess I would give is maybe play this game if you're kinda a bit stressed out. I found it to be oddly relaxing. Just kind of, sit down and let yourself kind of experience this for a while, and I think it really might help. And if you did that, tell me about it. I would be curious to see if it worked for you or not. Also tell me if it didn't work, but I'm sorry if it didn't work. Regardless of any of that though, I hope that you enjoyed watching, and if so, please consider subscribing, liking and commenting, all the things you can do for free here on YouTube. And regardless of that, I hope you're having a good day and that everything is in the right place.